Classroom.
Hey, welcome everybody. Oh, I'm taller than Audrey. Sorry. We're gonna get going with our IIAS panel today. So we have three amazing speakers for us in a lovely costume for you. They all coordinated for this. So I'm going to introduce them, starting off with Pierre is a senior environmental engineer with over 15 years of experience assessing and mitigating the environmental impacts of infrastructure, mining, and natural site projects worldwide. He has contributed to sustainable development projects across Canada, France, Oceania, and beyond. Beyond this expertise, Pierre is wishing to address the environmental challenges of space exploration. He is currently developing a project focused in sustainability situ resource utilization on celestial bodies like the Moon and Mars, with the goal of contributing to frameworks that promote responsible, sustainable, and peaceful exploration practices. Then we have Eliza. Eliza is a junior materials and processes engineer at MDA Space and an aspiring astronaut. She completed Project Possum Scientist Astronaut Program in 2022 with the IIAS in Florida, where she gained insight into the topics such as mesosphere research, IVA spacesuit operations, human physiology in space, and more. And thirdly, we have Toby Lee. Toby is an aerospace engineering undergraduate at the University of California, Davis. He is deeply passionate about human space flight. With the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences, Toby has performed dexterity tests in Final Frontiers IVA spacesuit and studied the dangerous consequences of hypoxia. Now welcoming the IIAS panel.
Hey guys, I'm going to be the moderator for this panel. My name is Hassan. Thank you so much to our MC Maya. And first, I'm just going to have each panelist make sure the mic is on.
Test, test.
Hello.
Awesome. Okay.
I think it works so well.
All good? Nice. And I'm excited to be presenting these three impressive Canadians to you guys. And not everybody might know what IIAS is. You might have figured out that it is some facility that gives astronaut training, but what really is it in detail? I'd like for these guys to tell us. So my first question to you guys is, could you share what the civilian astronaut training program at IIAS entails? And what are the key skills and experiences you gain through the program? Let's start with Pierre, as I think you have a lot of experience with IIAS.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you everyone for being here today. I am a French speaker trying to do my best in English. So if I do any kind of mistakes, please forgive me. We appreciate it. Actually what you should know is like this institute we are part of has multiple programs. All of those programs are actually designed to equip like the participant with the necessary skills, experience, or whatever technical abilities you may have to participate in space exploration as a scientist, a researcher, a medic, an engineer, or a spaceflight participant. And you will talk with Shona later today, our astronaut here at IIAS. So there is this program, which is absolutely insane. You will have the chance to experience hands-on training on various kind of topics, such as like, for instance, microgravity research or various G environment, if you guys like flying, for instance. Or you can do also spacecraft EGRIS, which is one of my favorite classes. So through all, obviously you will have the chance to wear either IVA or EVA spacesuit, which is, I don't know for you guys, but a dream for me. Is it a dream for you guys to wear an IVA suit? Yeah, probably. Also, yeah, IVA is cool. Underwater sometime, which is amazing. So you're going to gain some major skills in your life. And the first one is obviously human skills. You're going to be with people from all around this planet. And when I'm talking about people, I'm talking about world-class kind of professionals, like the top of the people, whether they are your crewmates or whether they are your teacher or sometimes astronauts as well. We have classes with astronauts here at IIAS. So human skills. You're going to gain also technical skills. For instance, you're going to learn how to take pictures from a spacecraft, which is once more absolutely amazing to do. You're going to go through also operational skills, like for instance, spacecraft egress. You're going to learn how to evacuate a spacecraft, the Orion capsule mockup to be fully precise, in various kind of conditions. And trust me, this is demanding, but this is so much fun. Do you guys did this before? Spacecraft egress? Yes, you did. All right. So let's say what more, you can have also communication like skills. You're going to be put in extremely stressful environment, just like right now, for instance. And you need to be able to communicate clearly, efficiently, and calmly with your crew and with all people working with you. Especially like, for instance, for me, when doing like a flight, like aerobatic flights, you need to have like a clear conversation with the pilot behind you. When you are upside down, like, and you see the sea just behind you, like this is terrifying. So just keep calm. It's gonna be well, right? So human skills. And obviously, the last but not the least, you're gonna develop like super nice resilience and adaptability skills. Because in the same week, you're gonna go into aerobatic flights, hypoxia chamber, you're gonna try a high-vis suit, you're gonna go through airborne imagery as well, simulation, which is super nice as well. So a lot of adaptability in this. And all of the skills, we prepare you eventually to go to space, which is why we're here today with you. So yeah, great summarized it.
Thank you so much, Pierre. Let's move on to Eliza.
Yeah, so to add on to
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes, to add on to that, yeah, so it's a 7-day, very intensive program. Just like Pierre mentioned in great detail, you do hypoxia chamber, you do egress is, I know it's the second course after that. Yes, so that one's, so you're the course that we are talking about, the Project Possum one, that's sort of like a prereq to all the other courses that you will do afterwards. And the one that I enjoyed the most, as I know Pierre and also Toby would agree, was wearing the IVA suit, and you are there sort of regulating your pressures. That's actually when your ears pop as well inside your spacesuit. So it's like a very interesting and different experience. And I know the simulation for the mesosphere research was also very, very interesting because you're in this cockpit and you have these screens where you're simulating flight in like the suborbital flight. And it's basically emulating the being in a Virgin Galactic rocket, which is what Shauna is going to be on actually in her next flight to suborbital space. And then what else? Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, Toby, go ahead.
Yeah, so the IIAS offers extensive programs with concentrations on aeronomy, flight test engineering, spaceflight operations, and bioastronautics on IVA or EVA spacesuit evaluations. A few of my favorite courses are kind of what they mentioned as well, but egressing out of an Orion capsule while donning an IVA spacesuit, or performing a moonwalk while donning an EVA spacesuit while also hooked up to a gravity offset rig. I would say probably the biggest takeaways from the program is definitely the hands-on experience. You gain a much deeper understanding of astronaut operations after each course. And also, aside from the technical skills, there's also a lot of personal development involved, such as maintaining situational awareness while performing a suborbital spaceflight simulation, or making decisions under pressure while being hypoxic.
I was going to add as well, like another thing that kind of goes unnoticed is actually being in a community and interacting with all, sort of your fellow astronaut candidates. And that actually is great for personal development, not only, but also building your network and also building like a sense of community. And a lot of my friends are actually from the space community, and just being able to talk to them, see their journey, all of that actually adds to my own personal development as well. So that's a great, great perk of doing stuff like this.
Thank you so much. Honestly, the IVA suit sounds like a dream. It's so exciting. For the next question, let's start with Eliza. And my question to you is, what inspired you to pursue civilian astronaut training? and how did it align with your personal and professional goals?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, as a young individual, I was interested in space, thanks to Interstellar, obviously. But that led me to this path that I am on here, actually pursuing not just space research or working in the space industry, but actually being on the front frontier of doing the exploration itself. And how I heard about it was actually at U of A when, because Shauna Pandya who's a speaker, by the way, here. She is an alumni of U of A, U of A being University of Alberta. And so she was speaking on it at one of the events over there, and it was actually become like very up and coming in our community at the time, and everyone was talking about it. And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't know what exactly this is at the moment. I don't know what suborbital science is or what mesosphere research is. I'm just a second year or third year student at the time, but I just went for it. I applied. And I had a plethora of experiences that actually helped me understand a lot of what was going on when I was there. So having the past experience definitely did help. And one of the great things about it was actually meeting a community that was so international and diverse. There were people that I met in the program from India, from Spain, from Puerto Rico, and we all actually stay in touch still to this day. And we send each other Christmas messages, which is cute. But anyways, I'm derailing. Going back to the point. So one of the reasons why I actually wanted to apply too was not just because, oh, this is a way for me to explore training like an astronaut, but also to kind of set my place in the space community in terms of where we stand in the universe and like where we're going. I know that sounds a bit like too extensive, but really it is about the research that we do means a lot to the future of where we're gonna go. So that inspiration really, that the meaning meant a lot to me. And so applying to these programs, such as not only this one that we're talking about here, but also a lot of the analog astronaut missions that are being done, such as Lunaris in Poland, or the one in Hawaii as well. These all, or even the one in Mars, the Mars one in Colorado, those are all, they have such greater meaning to like what we're trying to understand about human physiology, or like what it means to be an astronaut, and like feed into your curiosity and lead the way through space exploration and research. So that meant a lot to me, and so being part of that and applying and actually getting it and meeting all these people only solidified my interest further, and made me want to pursue this even now. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I just want to say Interstellar is the greatest movie. Okay, Toby, let's move on to you.
Yeah, sure. So joining the IIAS family was perhaps the most influential decision of my professional and academic career. The programs that they offer are truly, honestly, the closest thing you can get to real astronaut training from a government agency, probably in the world. And so my motivation in joining the program came from my own dream of going to space one day, but also to get a better understanding of what astronaut training involves and how it could adapt and evolve to accommodate for the average person who wants to go to space in the future. And I guess also, like, on a personal note, donning and a pressurized IVA spacesuit and listening to lectures on space physiology by Dr. Eric Seedhouse was really the catalyst that sparked my now passion in human spaceflight and conducting bioastronautics research at my university.
Thank you so much. And Pierre?
Okay, so me joining this institute was really a series of enormous accidents. And so I want to say that at first I am an environmental engineer and an artist. I have been passionate by space since like ever, but making the link in between art, environment, and in space is something really tough, in this industry. And when I say this is an accident, like I've been invited by Kennedy Space Center actually to paint the Artemis launch 2 years ago. And so I was there like doing my stuff, waiting for the launch to finally happen at the fourth time. And I met Guadalupe Espinosa, one of the students at IIAS. And it was like, we met probably on Instagram a little bit before. And he actually sat just like beside me and was like, hey, you should totally join like, IIAS. It was really like this. And I was like, yeah, me, like an artist and environmental engineer. So, okay, time flies. And then I met one decisive person. I met astronaut Winston Scott, truly my favorite astronaut of all, a true inspiration. And this gentleman took the time to just like sat with me, like he actually, listened to me and just on my project. And he was like, yeah, you can totally do this. I mean, like bored, and actually this is very fun because this is one of our teacher now at IIAS. So such an amazing person. So he is the one who actually convinced me to join this institute. And oh my God, what, what a good decision in my life. Stressful decision, but what an enormous good decision.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to the third question. This one, let's start with Toby. What was the most challenging thing that you did during your training?
Yeah, I would say the most challenging, but also the most exciting part of the program for me was the high G aerobatic flight out of an extra 300L aircraft. The extra 300L is an aerobatic aircraft used by the sorts like Red Bull, due to it being known for its high speed and high maneuverability capabilities. And so, consequently, the aircraft is built to handle some serious Gs. And actually, one of the key milestones in astronaut training is being accustomed to the high G forces of spaceflight, which is around 3 Gs for launch and around 4 Gs for reentry. And so during my flight, the pilot and I pulled an incredibly uncomfortable 5.2 Gs. And despite all of our training beforehand, all I could think about was just don't pass out.
Or don't puke.
What about Pierre? Would you agree? Is that the most challenging thing?
Yeah, so I was tempted to answer this, but then I remember the last training I did, which is actually spacecraft egress. But before this one, I did like survival at sea, so which is one of the classes we do at IIS. And this one is absolutely amazing. So you go actually in a huge swimming pool. They put you in what we call the dunker, which is actually a mock-up of an helicopter. And they literally put you in the water, turn you upside down with no hair, you're attached, and you need to evacuate this helicopter, the spacecraft, right? Yeah. It's 20 seconds. My God, this is really, really short, right? So you have to unlock yourself. You have to push the door. You have to get out. You are upside down, right? You have to get out in the swimming pool and you have to reach the surface alive. Man, this is really challenging. But actually what I discover is you are so well trained with some of the most exceptional teacher I have ever had in my entire life that the only moment you are in control is actually where you are upside down, attached in the mock-up helicopter, like in the water. I was so relaxed. Seriously, I was like, oh, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I know exactly what I have to do. Like unlock myself. Perfect. Okay, I have nowhere. All right. That's perfect. I need to push the door. Perfect. All the structure. Perfect. Let's go. Get out. Okay, nice. Nice, sweet and down. So it was terrifying at first, but you are so well trained that actually all the fear disappear immediately.
Thank you. And Elisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that too. It's like how you basically explain that procedure that you're going through in your head is basically what astronauts do in space. I remember reading about it in Chris Hadfield's book where he said that whether or not you go to space is something that you can't control, but walking through these steps over and over and over again, having memorized at the back of your hand is really what saves you from life and death, because it becomes habit. So exactly what Pierre said, that is something that astronaut training is almost very procedural. And so that's why there's a lot of similarities between like militaries and astronaut training, which is why that's why they do it. But that doesn't mean that you can't still do it. We're here as an example for that.
Thank you so much. Now, I have some specific questions relating to your fields. And this one, the fourth question, starting with Pierre. Now, as he mentioned, he's an artist, and if you haven't checked out his art, go check it out. It's fantastic. And my question to you is, could you share how your space artistry communicates or enhances public understanding of the challenges and beauty of space exploration?
Right. So for all those who don't know, we actually received this question before, to prepare it. And over this question, I was like, okay, so what he is asking me to do is just like explain art in 3 minutes. Buckle up. So yeah, so I am an artist, so this is actually, as I told you before, this is fun because this is exactly how I entered space. I entered space through art because I met the right people at the right time when I was actually painting. And years before this, my dad was a painter also explained me the solar system by painting it to me so I understand it. Art is a bridge. Art is a bridge to explain very complex idea or technical problem and to simplify them so you can all understand it what it is actually our common language, right? So in my job, for instance, I'm an environmental engineer, right? I use this on a daily basis. I have to deal with very, very complex environmental issues. And the way to do this is to explain these environmental issues very simply by actually drawing it to people. It works well. So if you actually check my artwork, you will see that I put a lot of emphasis to explain a very simple idea. We must protect space at any cost. This is an extremely simple idea. But behind this idea, there is a lot of technical issues that are actually extremely complex, like dust control management, for instance. And the way for me to do this is just to draw a very specific environmental issue on my artwork, and you will maybe just like get an inch of it, right? Because, I realized something which is really important. Art is not only a way to educate or to communicate, it's also a way to inspire people. And I really want to do this today with you guys as an artist. Inspire people. This is the true purpose of art. Because, I realize that art is totally useless, right? There is no purpose at all in art. Art is useless. Well, until you lost someone, until you love someone, until you are actually left totally speechless. And in this moment, you actually rely on a very universal form of communication, emotion. And those emotion, you are translating it like in the form of art. And when you think about it, we have done this for tens of thousands of years. Like think about the Lascaux case, if you have the chance to see this in France, for instance. We have been using this for literally years, when we have decades, thousands of years, when we are left speechless. And this is also a reason why I want to go to space. I am pretty sure that the very first time I'm going to see the sunrise beyond our beautiful planet, I will be totally speechless. And I want to paint this.
Thank you so much. And it really emphasizes how space is interdisciplinary from all fields and bridging the gap. And Elisa, would you like to, or Pierre, would you? Oh, okay.
Well, I
Elisa.
guess a great example of art inspiring is how Interstellar inspired me, right? So Interstellar was this beautiful film that, yes, was very accurate in terms of its physics, the theoretical physics that it was trying to explain, but it was just so cinematically beautiful. And it was also like even the original soundtrack behind it. I just remember they're sitting there in the theater and like I don't know if you guys remember that scene where there was the docking scene. Oh my God, that left me speechless. And so really and truly that is what kind of inspired me, and that's just a form of art. So yeah, that's what I would like to add.
Thank you. Toby?
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys. I think art is like a universal language that has a unique ability to break down like seemingly complex and sometimes also intimidating concepts for spaceflight, and instead humanizes them to express emotion and curiosity among everybody.
Thank you. And I like the point that even if you're not an artist, it can still inspire you, and that is great.
Well, actually, I am an artist.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
I
so
paint.
That's so nice. And for my next question, I want to start with you. This one is about companies. So my question is, what role do you see Canadian aerospace companies playing in supporting private and governmental space exploration initiatives?
Right. So I think Canada is honestly one of the uh, almost like leading towards like advancing global space economy quite a bit actually. And there's so many examples both in the private and public sector that I can start with. One of them being obviously MDA, where you know, you're starting off with the arm that was used in the shuttle era, where it was actually used to help build the ISS. And now it's the same is happening as we move on to Canadarm3, which is going to help with the Lunar Gateway programs. And then there's also other private companies such as GHC Sat and also Mission Control Space Systems, where GHG Sat is working on monitoring gas emissions to like help with our environmental climate change issues, and as well as with the space mission company, they're working towards software solutions which can help with advancing lunar and planetary exploration further, for rover navigation and all great things. And so that in itself is, for such a small country, we're really powering through. We're really providing a lot of solutions. And I mean, all of you here too, like you're here because there's so much interest in space, and all of you are actually going to be what is going to lead towards further innovations, and you guys are going to be solving problems that we are facing right now. And so what can I say? It's just we have a lot of interest, and Canada is really pushing their weight in the global space economy.
Thank you. Toby?
Yeah, totally agree with what you just said. You know, Canada has had a long legacy of innovative spaceflight projects. Like, just think about the Canadarm that's been operational for more than 30 years now, and soon on the Lunar Gateway. And now with players like MDA and Nordspace, to even the first ever Canadian lunar rover that involves 12 different universities and companies across the country. I think we're really seeing Canada emerge and expand its footprint in the aerospace industry, and I think it's really incredible.
Thank you. Pierre?
Yeah, well, as the same, I see like Canada have a lot of assets, to offer as well, and you clearly are all part of this. And if you heard like Lisa Camelis today talking about like the future of space exploration, we're gonna face so amazing challenge in space industry particularly, and we will need a lot more of Canada, because we have specialties like robotic, for instance, but we have more than this to offer in Canada, and especially mining, for instance. There's a lot of mining projects that are actually on the table right now, whether this is on the moon, on Mars, for various kind of reasons. So we will need also this kind of expertise, which is really unique also to Canada. And with this come also one more specialty of Canada that people barely know is once more environmental protection. We are seriously leaders in the world in terms of environmental impact assessment, for instance. So we will need all of this in the future, and we will need emerging companies that address this kind of issues, whether they're robotic, mining, environment, name it, AI, whatever, name it. So we have a lot to do. And as Lisa Campbell said yesterday, you will be in demand in the years to come. So like, do not be afraid of like pushing your project, your dreams, in order to just like to work commonly for all of us here in Canada.
Thank you so much. My next question, this one, let's start with Toby. And I believe you've been involved with some human spaceflight research. And so my question is, what role do you think human spaceflight research plays in shaping training programs for civilian astronauts?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that human spaceflight research is really the foundation of what it takes to develop a training program for civilian astronauts. You know, when you look back on decades of data from NASA and other space agencies on, for example, the spaceflight physiological effects like bone density loss, or its factors like team dynamics or stress, you realize that every single lesson learned along the way plays directly into developing safer and more efficient training programs for non-professional flyers. And on the physical side, for example, we rely on research like how the human body adapts or sometimes fails to adapt to microgravity. And so that drives the training for civilians, even if they're only spending a few days in space.
Thank you. Pierre, would you like to add something?
Yeah, well, this is a very, very good summary. So actually, at the age where we are facing the possibility to travel to very distant celestial bodies like Mars, for instance. Just talk about Mars, right? Just going to Mars will be an enormous challenge for human beings, obviously, because we are going to put in an environment that is trying actually to kill us, right? Fully and simply. So we need to train a lot in order to do this, but not only like on the usual way we used to train as astronauts, let's say physically or whatever it is. It can also be like mentally, for instance, like mental research is an enormous field to be developed, to be enhanced, let's say, for this kind of very long duration space flight. And we need to train to this as well. What is this kind of training you do to be mentally healthy during a 2-3 years travel alone in the void of space? This is some kind of research we need to carry on also. And there is also obviously how your body is going to resist this extreme environmental condition you are going to put into. So we actually need to push this a lot more. And we have all heard like this last month, like we are pushing to put people on Mars very, very shortly. Before doing this, we also need to let these people come back safely, right? And this require a lot of training. Are we there yet? Maybe not. We have a lot of research to conduct, yeah.
Thank you. Eliza?
Yeah, no, I have the same sentiment as everyone here. There's a lot of unanswered questions, especially when it comes to, I know as engineers, a lot of us here who are pursuing engineering, we're very excited about solving engineering problems, but there's a lot of health problems that still remain unanswered that I think space flight mission testing and research and even analog missions, all of these are great ways to answer that, because even the analog mission in was it the one where they simulate Mars environment in Colorado, that one is quite long, and that is to understand, like, how are we when we work with each other, like these professionals, our teammates, crewmates that we're with for a month or so X amount of days. How do we overcome challenges? How do we overcome conflicts? How do we overcome not being with our families? And also obviously gravitational issues too, like there is on the ISS and stuff that we're constantly trying to, I guess, research and answer to. So lots to do, lots to understand, and I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Now, going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier about the interdisciplinary, all that. And this question is for Pierre, starting from that side. What is the value of bringing individuals from diverse fields like medicine, engineering, art, aerospace into astronaut training programs?
All right, so actually space exploration, I've known like several steps. So first of all, we need to go to space. So we need pilots this time, extreme talented pilot, like this is a Gagarin era, let's say. Then we needed a little bit more to work in space. This is the Apollo era, right? Then we needed to prepare for long stay in space. This is the STS, the Space Shuttle era. Now we work in space. This is like the space station era. Now we are going to live in space and to eventually also use the resources offered by celestial bodies. So this is completely different thematic, right? And to solve the numerous problems we're going to face doing these activities, we will need several kind of professional, whether they are medical doctors, whether they're engineers, specialists, researchers, scientists, name all of them if you want. Because we're going to face the very exact same problem we are facing on Earth, but it will be way more difficult to bring a solution to those problems. So, for instance, as far as I'm concerned, I am an environmental engineer, as you know this already, working on mines. I've been working on mines almost my whole career, or infrastructure project here in Montreal, or natural project also in Montreal. To go and do mining, we're going to need mining engineers, right? But we're also going to need process engineers, for instance, or whatever technical engineer you will need in this. You will also need like technician to actually operate all the stuff. And you're going to need medicine people, sorry. And you also going to need environmental engineers. So the purpose of bringing all these technical people together is to solve way more complex problem. You will obviously also need artists, because artists have a very good quality. They actually tell the human history since the very beginning of it. We only remember the human history through arts, sculpture, painting, music, whatever it might be. You can name all form of art you want. So this is why we need this. But I want to add something on this. We need diversity in the field of expertises, but not only. We need diversity. Space is a man's world. Let's face it. We need women in space, and we need women right now in space. This is really important. We need women, we need diversity, we need inclusion. And you know why? Because creativity comes from diversity. And to bring innovative solution to way more complex problem, we need creative people. And once more, creativity comes from diversity.
Thank you so much. Same question to Eliza.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a reason why they say space is for all, right? And even Project Possum's philosophy is that space is for all. And I really, really appreciate the international community that the IIAS fosters. And that is exactly the kind of collaboration that we need. And I'm very, very proud of Canada in that sense. I'm very proud Canadian in that sense that we actually very much celebrate diversity. And so that is also even seen in my own workplace and also here as well. And that is what's going to propel our research forward because of the different health issues or because of the different ideas. And so that's very exciting. And I hope we keep pushing forward like that.
Thank you. And Sobi?
I think when we talk about, having interdisciplinary people in space, like engineering, art, or medicine, we're really talking about, really expanding the horizon of what human spaceflight can really accomplish. And so, on the physical side, astronauts are, I would say, ambassadors for space exploration and also role models for so many other people. And so I would say, having people with diverse backgrounds and different talents can help tell us a story about human spaceflight in a way that can really captivate the world.
Thank you so much. And I have one final question before we open the questions for everybody. And this is for you guys. So let's start with Eliza. What advice would you give to young Canadians dreaming of becoming astronauts, whether through traditional or civilian pathways?
Right. So I guess this is advice to myself as well. But I would say right now is like the best time to be in the space community because right now with an influx of funding from public and private sectors into research and even just suborbital flights to research so many different topics, it is really and truly where you want to be right now if you are not only just want and trying to become an entrepreneurial in the space community, or also even if you're just trying to pursue astronaut aspirations. So there's so many avenues right now available. One of them is right here in this conference, and the people hosting these conference, the SEDs, they host so many amazing projects. One of my patches here is the CanRGX, and Patrick, who's here, he was my supervisor, and he helped us finish the project. And it was such a wonderful experience that I hold so close to my heart. And that was truly the closest I've ever been to space flight. And yes, ISS, the Project Possum was definitely very close, but being in microgravity, actually floating in microgravity for 10 seconds for 14 parabolas was something that was unforgettable. And like being part of these projects, and also being here, networking and communicating with people, or even just absorbing all the information and building your network, that is all part of how to develop yourself towards your aspirations that you have. And then I guess for the more on the personal side of things, I would say that something that astronauts work towards is building really, really good mental and physical health. So working towards that as well, being healthy, keeping yourself active and learning, constantly learning about spaceflight, medicine, food and nutrition even. There's so much to learn right now, and astronauts, they learn constantly. That's one of the things that Chris Hadfield also said, that if they're not in Houston at the commanding like space operations or anything, they're on their side just doing exams, learning. And so that's definitely one of the aspects too for personal development that I would suggest.
Thank you. Same question to Toby.
Yeah, totally. kind of similar to what you had said, but I really believe that right now we are at a tipping point for human spaceflight. I know I talk a lot about human spaceflight, but I really think that we're in the golden age of human spaceflight right now with, spacecraft that are being developed that can take like 100 people to orbit and back. Like all of you here, like we really have an opportunity to make a difference, and who knows where the space industry is going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. I guess regarding like advice, obviously education is key. Getting a astronaut career within the Canadian Space Agency, having a strong background in STEM is still the foundation. And as well, second, I guess, is, find a role model. Growing up as a Chinese Canadian citizen, I was surprised by how few Asian astronauts there are, and so it was difficult to find someone who looked like me, who was also a role model. So, I think as adults, right, I think it's also our responsibility to promote diversity in space exploration and the space industry, so that the next generation of engineers or astronauts can all have somebody to look up to.
Yeah, I was going to add as well. There was something that Jeremy Hansen said in one of his talks. He said, one of the best things to do for yourself is to have a goal and share that goal, because there's a lot of these people here who want to support you in your dreams, and sharing that goal, or even just sharing this for the sake of sharing so that you yourself hold yourself accountable to actually achieving that goal, is probably where you could start off. And also, to add to the role model thing, I actually don't even have a role model in my own as a like a Pakistani born Canadian. I don't even have anyone to look to for that, but that's okay, because I know that perseverance and resilience is one of those characteristics to have as a successful, not only engineer, but just even a person. So I'm hoping that I could be that for someone else in the future.
Thank you. And Pierre?
Well, I prepared your answer for this question, but actually hearing you guys, I'm going to change a little bit. I want to say that, first of all, trust yourselves. If you want to go, you will go. You know why? Because astronauts are all of them, they have one common point. They're never abandoned. They always push the doors. They always like push the whatever exam they have to pass. They go and they never stop dreaming. Because at the end of it, this is just a dream. And just look at the three of us. I just realized this. Like we have, like Toby, who is like a Chinese Canadian, if I understand pretty well. As you told you were a Pakistani Canadian. I am from France and from Canada. Look what we accomplished here. We are all working together, and all together we have the Canadian flags and we'll back. And trust me, this is such a profound honor to do this. Believe in this. Believe in what you have. Believe in your quality. Trust yourself. Do not cancel yourself because you are shy, because you are anxious. And there is people like this in this room, I am absolutely sure. If you are in this position, like, be vocal, like share what you want to say, share what is your project, even though your project is just to go painting in space, right? Talk about it, because it takes only one person. It takes one person that will support you, that will help you to go to space. Trust me, this is exactly what happened to me. I am not there yet, right? But I'm not going to stop dreaming about it until eventually I'm going to succeed or inspire people to succeed.
Thank you so much, guys. Great responses. That was deep.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now I'd like to let you guys ask questions, and we can bring up the mic, or if you want, you can also yell. Yes.
That's a really great question. However, I do think AI is in a very, it is in its early stages. I know it is developing very, very fast, but it is still in its early stages for me to give you a concrete answer of how that's going to affect astronauts moving forward. But if anything, it'll help. I don't think it is like a tool to replace, but it is a tool to assist in better research and like even with spaceflight operations to improve that and to not rely on it so much so that astronauts can focus on other tasks. But I don't think that with human exploration, AI could ever sort of take that away. And actually, even like I know AI is meant to not make any mistakes and it's perfect, but making mistakes is part of advancing research. So, yeah. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, if I can add a little bit of something, obviously I am confronted as an artist in various aspects of my professional life to AI. I just want to say that this is a choice we have to make commonly. What do we want? Is space exploration something we want to abandon somehow to AI, or is it something that we want to keep in the human history? I believe AI is part of the space exploration right now, whether you want it or not. This is part of it, and we have to deal with this. But we have to make a decision, an enlightened decision, which is more a physical decision about what we actually want as a human species. Do we want to send an AI to whatever, Enceladus, for instance, or do we want to send a human there? It's way more expensive to say a human. It's way more difficult. It's way more dangerous. But this is who we are. We are explorers.
So if you would like to add anything, feel free. And
Yeah, sure. Kind of similar, but like, yeah, I think instead of rejecting it, I really think we should be embracing AI right now. Kind of like what Aliza said, it is a very developing industry still, very fast growing, but I would say that we should adapt to it, embrace it, because it's like saying that we should go to space without the internet, right? Just doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
thank you. We still have time for one final question. Yeah, over there. Any of you can, yeah.
So sorry, the question is like, how do you start? Like, let's say, how do you apply, right? All right, so I would say just like me, like, well, we have a beautiful website, so we can obviously share of this. So you have a way to apply to this class. It's called AST 101. This is the entry class, AST 101. Right. So this is like the how can I say this in English? The one. Yeah, exactly. So this is the kind of classes exactly. We prepare you for everything else. This is actually an entry point. When I say this, it's like this is not a go, no go, but this is a class you have to pass, right? So this is the one you want to start with. Just apply. Well, I did apply like 2 years ago. And when I received my letters that I was accepted, I was like really? Like me? Yeah. So just apply, just feel free. You will probably have a talk with one of a teacher called Chris, an amazing guy, amazing teacher, very funny teacher as well. It will like answer every question you may have on all the courses, on everything we are doing in IISS. So just feel free, just to apply. That's it, period.
Yeah, and I guess I would also like to add, like, there are also many more opportunities. There's also the International Astronomical Search Collection, and they host citizen science panels where they teach students and amateur astronomers how to conduct asteroid search campaigns. There's also astronaut analog facilities, which are also very popular, like HISES, where participants live in like Moon or Mars-like environments in Hawaii, and support long duration human spaceflight missions.
Yes, and the one that I mentioned in Colorado, I forget the name, I'm so sorry, but it is it is in Colorado. I believe it's I want to say 30-day long mission. And having a bit of experience with that one definitely helps because you do get assigned like very, very big roles such as like chief officer or something. So those ones are definitely like something that I would recommend doing later on in your career. And then the last one I would mention is Lunaris, which is the one in Poland, and that is to emulate the lunar habitat. And you live there for 10 days and you have a mission, research, and you're assigned a role and you work with a team to solve problems.
Thank you so much. And yeah, honestly, analog missions are a great way. And when you said AST 101, I saw half the crowd taking notes.
Yes,
I hope it's inspired a lot of you to join. And that's all the time we have right now. And you are welcome to come up to them and ask questions later, but we would like to ask you to join us for our next talk, who will be Dr. Shauna Pandya, who is also from IIAS. And yeah, thank you so much. Oh, okay. Are you guys?